Falling in love does not always feel like romantic bliss to every attachment style. Sometimes it feels like a threat, like pressure, or like fear of losing control. And in today's video, I'm gonna break down for you how each attachment style actually feels as they are starting to develop really deep feelings for somebody and begins falling in love, so that you have context for some of what's going on if you're in this experience yourself or on the receiving end of somebody who's giving you mixed or confusing messages. And my hope for you is that you have these key takeaways to better understand yourself and why it may not always be blissful for you if this is the case for you, and what you can do to start healing and growing today. Now, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you stopped by. My name is Gibson. I'm the founder of Gibson Integrated Attachment Theory, the proven method that leverages neuroscience and neuroplasticity to rewire your old attachment patterns so that you can start building the best relationships of your life today. Now let's dive in, and we'll start with the secure attachment style because obviously that's sort of the gold standard of how we want to feel in relationships. When a securely attached person falls in love, it is not from this really strong infatuation-based place that you see in romantic movies or Disney movies. It's coming from a place of being much more grounded, okay? So when a securely attached person starts to get to know somebody, they spend time, they vet them, they have difficult conversations with them, they ask the right questions, and they start to love the deeper person rather than their projections of that person. So if you look at some of the other attachment styles, and obviously we'll get into them, sometimes they sort of project these ideas about somebody. Oh, this person's so assertive, so they're going to be so protective, they're going to be the best partner. And we sort of jump to conclusions in the fantasy bond that a lot of different attachment styles build more than in reality. Whereas securely attached people are truly talented and gifted at actually getting to know the person in front of them. They don't project as much onto people. They tend to be really grounded. They tend to ask meaningful questions to get to know somebody in their good and challenging moments. And this means that love for them becomes grounded, deep, meaningful, very real, and rooted in reality, and it's expanding. So love adds to their life, but it doesn't take over, okay? And you'll see a lot of securely attached people when they get to know somebody, they're sort of like, oh, I like this person. I'm interested in this person. I feel this spark, this connection, this chemistry. Let's see where it goes. Let's see what happens. And they're open to their feelings and respectful of their feelings, but they're also not going to let their own feelings violate their needs, violate their boundaries, right? They're going to enjoy the euphoria of having romantic feelings for somebody, but not at the expense of ignoring red flags, not to the point where they're going to not have hard conversations or ask important questions. And they're able to really engage both their head and their heart, so to speak, in the situation when it comes to falling in love. They're able to feel with their heart and their feelings and get excited, but they're also able to be stable and make sure that this person is the right fit for them. And you'll see a lot of consistent effort. Securely attached people never leave people guessing. They've got really clear communication, comfortable pacing, and they're very good at naming their needs without drama. So this is sort of our secure gold standard. Now let's talk about some of the other attachment styles and how they tend to operate, especially as they develop those feelings. Anxious attachment styles. For anxious attachment styles, they move fast. They move from very infatuation-based love, and they tend to feel like love is exciting, but also consuming. And this is a really big word. It's almost like they get this deep, preoccupation, hence the name anxious preoccupied attachment style. They get this overwhelming sense of like this person becomes sort of the center of their universe. And when they develop more and more feelings and more love for somebody, they have a tremendous amount of euphoria, but there's some challenges, some hidden challenges, namely that they tend to build more of their sense of love and connection in the fantasy world than in reality sometimes. So they can really project into the future how, the future is going to go. And they really end up quite early on into relationships a lot of the time, imagining that they might marry somebody, be with them forever, and paint this picture in their mind of what that looks like. And sometimes hidden within that very quietly is that they're falling as much in love with the fantasy of somebody or somebody's potential as they are with the real person. And this can lead to really challenging behaviors in relationships, like ignoring red flags, putting up with things that are actually not okay with them, turning a blind eye to things, and of course, becoming codependent in love, which means that that person will be sort of the sole determinant of how you're feeling each day. If the relationship's going well, you're in a good mood. If things are difficult, you may not even be able to focus at work. You may feel like your whole life is centered around not knowing if you're going to be okay because of this person. And it can sometimes lead you to a point where you invest in somebody so much that you forget about yourself and your career goals or your friendships or your family relationships. And it's almost like everything else can kind of fall by the wayside. So it feels very strong for an anxious attachment style to fall in love, very euphoric, but it can lead to hyperfocus. It can lead to reading into text, seeking clarity and labels very early that accidentally sometimes pushes people away. And then sometimes it can lead to spinning out or panicking or feeling really distressed in the situation because of that. So that's our anxious attachment style. Those are some of the main themes you'll see. I just wanted to pop in here and let you know we are doing a 7-day free trial to the All Access Membership Pass at PDS, which means you get access to literally everything inside of the school. And this includes the 4 live webinars I do with our students every single week. And on top of that, you get access to all of our different courses. We have over 55 different courses on relationships, communication, boundaries, emotional mastery, guilt and shame, learning your needs, so many different facets that are really important to master our lives and feel really good about our lives going forward. And last but not least, there's a daily community event. We have trained facilitators and coaches who are in there doing that work, showing up to support you on your journey every single day. Please join me on the other side. Come check it out. See if it's a fit for you. I'd love to see you there. Go ahead and sign up by clicking the link in the description box below. Let's talk about fearful avoidance. Okay, so the fearful avoidant attachment style, they feel extremely high highs, but also a lot of fear. This is a really important one. And honestly, we could make a whole video just about this, but fearful avoidant attachment styles, because they're wired in childhood with a lot of extreme experiences. They have really good moments and really hard moments around love and connection, and a lot of their conditioning around what they expect that to look like or be like as adults. Let's just say, as an example, somebody has a parent who is in active addiction. Let's say the parent is an alcoholic. One day, maybe it's your mother, you come home and your mom's drinking and she's in a good mood and she's loving and she's kind, but another day she's drinking and she's had way too many drinks and now she's mean and cruel and unpredictable and scary. You may have a lot of experiences like that where you have some really good moments and some really scary and terrifying or just confusing moments around connection. And of course, that's not the only thing that breeds a fearful avoidant attachment style in childhood. It can be having a parent with narcissistic personality disorder or other extreme mental health issues. It can be having parents who fight like crazy, being caught in the middle of a really bad divorce. It can be all these types of themes. In other words, you get these competing associations that love is a good thing and a scary thing at the same time. And so you'll see this show up in all of your relationship pattern. You'll see this, and I always say that for fearful avoidance, falling in love until you do the work and heal is a very bittersweet experience. The sweetness of the love and the euphoric connection and how great that feels, but the bitterness of feeling like you're hurting me. The more I care about you, the more vulnerable I feel towards you, the more feelings I have for you, the more you're inevitably going to just hurt me so much because I don't believe that things end well. I don't believe that there's necessarily good outcomes in the future. And so you end up being in a dynamic or situation where this individual, this fearful avoidant individual, they move so fast at the beginning, they bond very deeply, very quickly, similar to an anxious attachment style. But as soon as they actually feel like their attachment has truly built with somebody, like that attachment bond has really hit, they start feeling scared, terrified, in fact, threatened by their partner because they love them so much or care so much. And so intimacy ends up feeling like home and danger all at the same time, which is so confusing to be on the receiving end of, but of course, so confusing if you are the fearful avoidant yourself. And it's sort of like you're sitting there going, I really want this connection, but what if they really hurt me? What if they trap me or control me or, think that I'm unworthy long term? And so you get this intense bonding and then sudden distancing and then testing and then more intense bonding and then more distancing and then testing. And a lot of times mixed signals and volatility in the relationship starts to happen the moment fearful avoidants are like, I feel real feelings. And some of those feelings are love-based. Our last attachment style here is the dismissive avoidant. And how they tend to feel when they fall in love is when they start developing feelings, they feel warmth towards somebody, but they feel warmth with a little bit of trepidation always. Like they're sort of lowering their guard, but then they feel like they need to keep holding back and retreating and sort of seeing. They're sort of the big observers in love. They want to see how you're going to respond and react to things. And they tend to over-vet in relationships, especially in early stages. And they feel very afraid of depending on somebody else. It's almost like dependence feels way too risky and is essentially off the table in the back of their mind. So when they develop strong feelings, they're like, okay, I'm starting to really get to know somebody, but they constantly need to retreat from their own feelings as a way to make themselves feel safe and in control. Because as children, dismissive avoidants had a lot of painful associations when they felt really vulnerable. They often felt rejected or like attunement was missing or that they were neglected or there wasn't room for their feelings. And so because that's their subconscious conditioning, they tend to project that back out as a deep presumed assumption that they're not even consciously aware of in their adult romantic relationships. So they sort of get into this theme where they're like, oh, I like them. I feel something. I don't want to feel this much. I need to make sure I keep my space. I need to keep my expectations low. And they also tend to have this background fear of, what if this costs me my freedom? What if people expect too much from me? What if people want me to commit too much? Or if I lose this ability to spend time alone or do my own thing or have access to my autonomy because of a commitment. So they end up moving. It's almost like they take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And they're consistently like moving towards you, but moving away, moving towards you, moving away. Now, of course, if the relationship's not going well, they can take many steps back and just ice out the whole relationship. But even when a dismissive avoidant is like truly falling in love, truly developing real feelings, they tend to communicate that those feelings are felt like care and warmth combined with this background fear and trepidation. Trepidation is the really big word. It's like they're always feeling a little on edge when things start to ramp up or heat up in a relationship. And they tend to, as a result of that, keep trying to minimize their attachment needs. They're trying to minimize their feelings. They often get into a lot of flaw finding, a lot of trying to look for flaws or reasons the relationship could go wrong in the future as a means to protect themselves. And they sometimes even get into a space of going through thinking in their mind why things may not work out or why they don't actually need their partner as a way to basically convince themselves that they are still in control of their own feelings, because they're so terrified deep down about feeling out of control emotionally in the relationship to themselves. And so they do a lot of these things. They tend to hope that relationships will be low pressure, will be consistent, will have a lot of harmony, no conflict ever. They really struggle with conflict in relationships. But sometimes we actually have to move through conflict in healthy ways. In fact, conflict itself is not a bad thing. It's how we do conflict that becomes healthy or unhealthy, right? If you do conflict by yelling and screaming, obviously that's not a good thing. It's unhealthy. But if you do conflict by saying, hey, this is what's coming up for me. I have this need. Can we work on it? Do you need anything? And you end up talking it out and hashing it out in a healthy way. You grow closer because of that. You grow closer as a result of that. And it's a really important thing and mechanism to learn. That is it for today. I hope that gives you the sort of down low on each attachment style, how they tend to feel in love, fall in love, what their inner experience and inner world is like. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video, share it with anybody who might benefit from it, and make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the regular giveaways or gifts that I put out on this channel in terms of free courses or information to support you in your healing journey. Thanks for watching.